A very good evening. Budget 2020's theme is driving growth and equitable outcomes towards a shared prosperity. This is in line with the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 launched recently by Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Now, aside from the budget consultation hosted by the Ministry of Finance, 12 focus group sessions were also held with other ministries and state governments. And the four thrusts anchoring the 2020 budget are: first, driving economic growth in a new economy and digital era; second, investing in Malaysians, levelling up human capital; third, creating a united, inclusive and equitable society; and fourth, revitalization of public institutions and finances. Now, according to Lim, during Tun Dr. Mahathir's first stint as Premier, he led Malaysia to its fastest decade of economic growth from 1988 to 1997 at an average growth rate of 9.3%. However, at the turn of the century, Malaysia's economic growth tapered off to an average of 5.1% since year 2000. Good evening for those of you tuning in to News On 2. This is a special edition of the highlights of Budget 2020. Take a look.
Menyebabkan struktur ekonomi semakin bergantung kepada tenaga buruh, pekerja kurang mahir dan struktur kos yang rendah. Akibatnya, kita terus terperangkap dalam status berpendapatan sederhana dan terhindar daripada menjadi ekonomi maju berasaskan produktiviti, inovasi dan kemakmuran bersama.
However, Lim said the protracted trade war creates a unique opportunity for Malaysia to again be the preferred destination for high value-added foreign direct investments or FDI.
Bagi separuh pertama tahun ini, FDI yang diteruskan meningkat 97% kepada 49.1 bilion ringgit daripada 25.1 bilion ringgit dalam tempoh yang sama tahun lepas. FDI dalam sektor pembuatan yang diluluskan daripada Amerika Syarikat mencatatkan nilai tertinggi pada 11.7 bilion ringgit, diikuti oleh Republik Rakyat China sebanyak 4.8 bilion ringgit. Memandangkan China merupakan rakan dagangan terbesar negara, FDI dari China sepatutnya setara dengan Amerika Syarikat. Oleh yang demikian, saluran khas bagi menarik pelaburan dari China akan ditubuhkan di bawah Invest KL.
On the government's commitment towards digital transformation and accelerating the digital economy, Lim said the government will create the necessary infrastructure to construct a digital Malaysia by implementing the National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan over the next 5 years. This will provide comprehensive coverage of high-speed and quality digital connectivity nationwide, including rural areas, with a total investment of 21.6 billion ringgit.
Sebagai sebahagian daripada MFCP, kerajaan akan meningkatkan kesaling hubungan di kawasan pedalaman Malaysia, khususnya di Sabah dan Sarawak, bagi memastikan tiada pihak yang terpinggir dalam agenda digital negara. SKNM akan memperuntukkan 250 juta ringgit untuk menyediakan akses jalur lebar melalui teknologi satelit.
And to give us a perspective on Budget 2020, in the studio with us today is a Senior Research Fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research and author of the book Malaysia, an Economy at the Edge of Transformation, Dr. Shankaran Nambiar. Dr. Nambiar, first and foremost, thank you very much for joining us in the studio today. We're trying to figure out Malaysia's growth for the first half of 2019 was 4.7%, with a growth rate of 4.9% in the second quarter. In view of the global uncertainties that everybody is talking about, can we maintain this momentum at the rate we are going?
I think obviously you have these challenges which are coming from the external sector. And one of my concerns, one of my fears was that this budget would probably be a tight budget. And fortunately, it's not. It's actually a budget which, as I had suggested earlier in some of my comments, it's a budget that seeks to overcome the kinds of challenges that you have from the external world. rising trade tensions, Brexit, the rest of it. And I think there are sufficient elements in this budget which would overcome those contractionary pressures.
Okay. The other thing to perhaps talk about with the tabling of the budget is manufacturing and digital economy. Now, the services and manufacturing are expected to be the main contributors still in our economic growth. How does the digital economy and fintech play a role in perhaps growing these sectors?
I think it's right that you should have emphasis on manufacturing and services. The way I look at it is that Malaysia would need to reindustrialize. It would need to go into high-end manufacturing. And along with it, you would need the right kind of services to support it. And that's where I think the digital economy comes into place. And obviously, with the digital economy, with people trading over the internet, banks going online, etc., that's where you need fintech to come in. Fintech, very, very simply, is any kind of technology that you use for transactions, to get a loan, to find where you can get your cheapest mortgage, etc., right down to e-wallet, payment over the internet, etc. So it's a theme that I see in this budget. You have an emphasis on fiberization, on 5G, and the digital economy, and also fintech. So there is this thread that runs through the budget.
So you do feel that at some stage the digital economy and fintech will help manufacturing and will help digital economy progress, isn't it?
I think absolutely. I think that's the way it has to go. Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering whether we're going to go for a break. Otherwise, I have another question. Aiza? We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, more with Dr. Shankaran Nambiar, who's here with us. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Also under the 2020 budget, the government continues to emphasize learning opportunities under MARA and Yayasan Peneraju Pendidikan Bumiputra, or Yayasan Peneraju. And in maintaining the technical and vocational education and training, or TVET program, the government is increasing the allocation from 5.7 billion ringgit in 2019 to 5.9 billion ringgit in 2020. Take a look.
Kerajaan juga akan meningkatkan jumlah bantuan pembayaran utiliti tambahan yang juga merangkumi pembentungan sebanyak 12 juta ringgit sekaligus memberi manfaat kepada 2,000 sekolah bantuan kerajaan. Salah satu bidang fokus utama dasar pembangunan modal insan adalah dengan mengarus perdana TVET. Justru kerajaan akan meningkatkan peruntukan daripada 5.7 bilion pada tahun 2019 kepada 5.9 bilion pada tahun 2020 bagi program TVET, termasuklah pertama, memperkukuhkan lagi sinergi di antara sektor awam dan swasta menerusi peningkatan pembiayaan Pusat Pembangunan Kemahiran Negeri SSDC. Oleh itu, kerajaan akan memperuntukkan 50 juta ringgit melalui Perbadanan Tabung Pembangunan Kemahiran bagi membiayai kursus TVET yang dilaksanakan oleh SSDC. Pembangunan Sumber Manusia Berhad akan bekerjasama dengan industri untuk menyediakan latihan TVET dengan pekerjaan yang bersesuaian. Bagi tujuan ini, kerajaan akan menyediakan 30 juta ringgit untuk melatih lebih 3,000 belia daripada keluarga berpendapatan rendah.
The government is committed to provide a quality education at different stages of life for the Rakyat, and hence the Ministry of Education continues to receive the largest allocation, increasing from 60.2 billion ringgit in 2019 to 64.1 billion ringgit in 2020.
Kerajaan akan terus melabur dalam membina sekolah-sekolah baru selaras dengan peningkatan populasi penduduk. Walau bagaimanapun, pada masa lalu keadaan sekolah sedia ada sering diabaikan. Bagi memastikan sekolah-sekolah sedia ada menyediakan persekitaran pembelajaran yang lebih kondusif untuk anak-anak kita, kerajaan akan menambah peruntukan penyelenggaraan dan menaik taraf sekolah daripada 652 juta ringgit seperti yang diumumkan dalam Belanjawan 2019 kepada 135 juta ringgit pada 2020 seperti berikut. Sekolah kebangsaan 300 juta ringgit. Sekolah jenis kebangsaan Cina 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah jenis kebangsaan Tamil 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah berasrama penuh 50 juta ringgit. Maktab Sains Mara 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah agama bantuan kerajaan 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah mubalik 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah tahfiz 50 juta ringgit. Sekolah agama rakyat dan sekolah agama persendirian 25 juta ringgit. Sekolah pondok yang berdaftar 25 juta ringgit. Sekolah menengah jenis kebangsaan 20 juta ringgit. Sekolah menengah persendirian Cina 15 juta ringgit. Kerajaan juga akan memberi tumpuan kepada pembaik pulih sekolah daif dengan peruntukan sebanyak 783 juta ringgit pada tahun 2020. Terutamanya di Sabah dan Sarawak. Tahun hadapan, kerajaan akan membina beberapa sekolah baru di Langkawi, di Ulu Langat, di Putrajaya, di Pasir Gudang, di Tumpat, di Marang dan juga di Johor Bahru. Bagi sekolah kebangsaan, peruntukan sebanyak 23 juta ringgit akan disediakan untuk memastikan sekolah mempunyai kemudahan mesra orang kelainan upaya. Ini selari dengan dasar penolakan sifat atau zero reject yang telah diperkenalkan oleh Kementerian Pendidikan di mana tiada kanak-kanak OKU dinafikan hak pendidikan disebabkan kelainan upaya mereka.
The Pakatan Harapan government is also committed to improve livelihoods, particularly lower income groups, as the government takes cognizance of the higher cost of living in major urban cities, and the government proposes to increase the minimum wage rate to 1,200 ringgit per month, effective 2020 for those living in major cities. Now, besides that, the government has also taken steps to enhance social protection for workers.
KWSP akan memperluaskan perlindungan kepada pekerja kontrak di bawah kontrak untuk perkhidmatan atau contract for service dan profesional. Sebagai permulaan, skim ini akan dijalankan secara sukarela bagi pekerja dalam industri seni dan hiburan melalui kerjasama antara KWSP dan Finas sebelum diperluaskan kepada sektor lain. Dan kedua, skim keselamatan sosial pekerjaan sendiri oleh Perkesuk akan diperluaskan bagi membolehkan caruman oleh 18 kumpulan yang bekerja sendiri mulai tahun 2020 seperti nelayan, petani, pemilik tunggal dan perkongsian.
The 2020 budget has introduced the Malaysians at Work initiative to cost some 6.5 billion ringgit over 5 years, with creation of additional 350,000 jobs for Malaysians. It is applicable to graduates who secure a job after 12 months of being unemployed, women who rejoin the workforce, and locals who replace foreigners. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng, when tabling Budget 2020 today, said the scheme, which seeks to reduce unemployment, is divided into 4 programs directed at providing both wage incentives for workers and hiring incentives for employers.
Percaya menerusi program #Malaysia Kerja, warga Malaysia yang menganggur akan menguasai kemahiran dan kecekapan yang diperlukan bagi memastikan kelangsungan pekerjaan dengan syarikat yang relevan serta peratusan pengekalan pekerja selepas tempoh 2 tahun insentif tamat adalah melebihi 90%.
He added the initiative will build human capital from the unemployed to become a self-reliant worker, able to contribute productivity to the labour market. And in the studio with us is Dr. Shankaran Nambia, Senior Research Fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, to give us a perspective of Budget 2020. Some of the questions that have come up as we move along with storytelling in Budget 2020. The government plans to increase employment of up to 350,000 new jobs in the next 5 years. What are your thoughts about that?
I think over the next 5 years, with the introduction of the digital economy, IR 4.0, and all these what are called disruptive technologies, we would see some jobs being lost, or some kinds of jobs being lost. And I think the government here is being sensitive to the fact that there might be a loss of jobs in certain sectors. Some jobs might be redundant, and the government has taken it upon itself to try to increase the number of jobs that would be available over the 5-year period. And I think aside from the government's direct intervention in this respect, it has a number of initiatives, as we just mentioned just now. Trying to upgrade manufacturing, for instance, trying to boost the services sector, the introduction of the fiberization plan. Now, these are all measures which in their own right would be able to generate jobs.
The other thing that has come up in the conversation of Budget 2020 amongst us, the journalists at Newsroom, and also conversations that we've had with members of the public, is that beginning 2020, there is this program. It's called Program Sarapan Percuma, or PSP. It is an initiative that's been supported by the Ministry of Health, which means Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education have come together to do this initiative. And it's supposedly to benefit pupils and teachers, will be implemented next year, and 2.7 million people will benefit from this program. Essentially, Doctor, it's free breakfast in the morning for 2.7 million people. The question I have is, because of this program, should the allowances for the B40 group now be decreased in order for the government to have enough funding for free breakfast for 2.7 million people?
I think the intention is definitely laudable, but how it would be implemented, I'm not very terribly sure about that. But one thing that strikes me, of course, is that this number is a big number, 2.7 million. That's a lot, and that's a lot of money that might not go in the right direction. A lot of people might take advantage of the free breakfast. Now, whether it should, as a consequence, result in a decrease in the allowances for the B50 group, I'm not very sure about that. I'm not terribly sure about that. I think the allowances for the the B40 group should go ahead as was planned. There will of course be some kind of overlap. There will be an overlap between the 2.7 million people who will benefit from it and the allowances that are received by the B40 group. So I think that there must be some caution must be exercised in the rollout of this breakfast program.
The other thing that has been brought up in Budget 2020 is essentially under the creative digital content. Now, under KKMM, which is essentially our ministry, because there was a revenue growth from 13.1% in 2016 to 16.3% in 2017 in the gaming industry. It was announced that a gaming creative content policy will be introduced. It is a new policy to further promote the gaming industry for this country. Now, to further encourage the creative industry, 20 million ringgit, the allocation, has been agreed upon by the government for this sector, something that, Doctor, has never been done before. And our Minister of Communications and Multimedia, Gobind Singh Deo, is optimistic about how this industry will grow, eventually to be at par with the likes of Disney and Pixar. Are we on the right track? Are we going to get there?
I can't be terribly confident about that. I mean,
why?
Disney has had a long history. It's been around for a long time. Whether we're going to leapfrog, get ahead of Disney, get to where Disney is, I can't say with a huge amount of confidence. But what I can say with confidence is that I think it's a step in the right direction, and we definitely have the kind of talent, and we should be encouraging the growth of the creative industry, and especially as it relates to gaming. There's a great interest in it. That's a field that is burgeoning, and we definitely have to ride on areas of that sort. And it again ties in with our interest in looking ahead towards the services industry, the digital economy, and the like.
Okay. We're going to take a short break. In our studio is the Senior Research Fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, Dr. Shankaran Nambia. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. A country can only be united if its economic development is inclusive regardless of race, religion, geographical location and background. And therefore, according to the Finance Minister, the government has pledged to defend and empower all inclusivity and not only one group exclusively.
Kerajaan akan terus meningkatkan usaha untuk merapatkan jurang pendapatan rakyat, terutamanya di antara bandar dan luar bandar. Kerajaan akan meningkatkan peruntukan bagi pembangunan luar bandar daripada 9.7 bilion ringgit dalam tahun 2019 kepada 10.9 bilion ringgit dalam tahun 2020.
Lim also said that the allocation for total subsidies and social assistance will be increased from 22.3 billion ringgit in 2019 to 24.2 billion in 2020, including welfare assistance such as Bantuan Sara Hidup and subsidy payments pertaining to agricultural sector, fuel and interest subsidies.
Mulai tahun depan, kerajaan akan memperuntukkan 5 bilion ringgit untuk BSH dan memperluaskan skim ini meliputi 1.1 juta individu bujang berumur melebihi 40 tahun yang berpendapatan kurang daripada RM2,000 sebulan. Sebagai tambahan, OKU berumur 18 tahun dan ke atas dengan pendapatan kurang daripada RM2,000 sebulan juga layak menerima bayaran BSH. Individu bujang berumur 40 tahun ke atas dan OKU layak menerima sebanyak RM300 dan secara automatik menjadi penerima skim Takaful Mai Salam secara percuma.
Lim also highlighted the Fuel Targeted Subsidy Program, or PSP, as part of the Pakatan Harapan government promise. He said individuals who own not more than 2 cars and 2 motorcycles are eligible to receive a PSP for 1 vehicle, adding that all luxury vehicles will not be qualified to receive the targeted subsidies.
Bagi penerima BSH yang layak, subsidi petrol yang diberikan untuk setiap penerima adalah sebanyak RM30 sebulan untuk pemilik kereta atau RM12 sebulan untuk pemilik motosikal. Subsidi ini akan diberi dalam bentuk pemindahan tunai dan akan dikreditkan terus ke akaun bank penerima setiap 4 bulan. Semua pemandu lain yang layak dan bukan penerima BSH, mereka akan menerima kad 95 yang membolehkan mereka menikmati subsidi petrol 30 sen per liter terhad kepada 100 liter sebulan bagi kereta atau 40 liter sebulan bagi motosikal.
To demonstrate their commitment to improve public transportation, the government had introduced various schemes that has benefited the rakyat.
Bagi menunjukkan komitmen kerajaan untuk menambah baik pengangkutan awam serta mewujudkan bandar bersih dan hijau, kerajaan berhasrat menyediakan sehingga 500 bas elektrik pelbagai saiz dengan kos RM450 juta untuk pengangkutan awam di bandar-bandar seluruh negara.
And once again, we have Dr. Shankaran Nambia, the Senior Research Fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, in our studio with us to give us a perspective of our Budget 2020. So, Targeted Fuel Subsidy Initiative will come into place in January of 2020, which only applies to Bantuan Sara Hidup recipients. Meanwhile, our public transportation, as you've just heard, is a little bit fragmented, I think, yeah, although we're trying to focus on it a little bit more. The government announced 450 million ringgit to acquire 500 electric buses and 146 million ringgit to subsidize bus operators to support last mile connectivity. Are these initiatives in Budget 2020 enough, Dr. Nambia?
I think that the intention or the notion of trying to provide fuel subsidies for those in the BSH group is a very useful one. There have been a lot of complaints about the cost of living, and here you find that there are various ways that are being derived in order to ensure that the cost of living of this targeted group is improved. They're able to withstand their complaint about the high cost of living. How it works out in practice, that again is a question of the mechanics that are involved in running the program. Hopefully enough thought has been put into the mechanics to ensure that the program is not abused. I find this idea of introducing electric buses an interesting one. You find in this budget there is mention of sustainability, and this ties in with the electric buses that the government is planning to roll out.
Okay, I'm going to have to go to the last question that I have. It's a very short program, Dr. Nambia. 2030 is 11 years away, and clear megatrends are shaping the world, presenting both challenges and opportunities for us. Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 is aimed to further grow economic complexity and propel our nation towards high value-added economic activities. What are your thoughts? Are we going to get there? We have 1 minute.
You're definitely not going to get there in 1 minute. And you probably might not get there before the next budget is announced. But I think you certainly are getting the ball rolling. And I think the tiger is now perhaps poised to leap. And I think this budget probably sets the tone for that kind of movement.
Thank you very much. We have Dr. Shankaran Nambia in the studio with us today, Senior Research Fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, and also the author of Malaysia, an Economy at the Edge of Transformation. The book is already in stores. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us today.
Great pleasure.
And on that note, Budget 2020, our exclusive report for the presentation of Lim Guan Eng's budget for next year, is concluded. I'm Adrian C. Thanks for watching.